Hey everybody, welcome back to Bros and Shows. I am your host, Josiah, aka Mahler67, and with me, as always, you know I got my buddy, I got my pal, I got my brother Austin. Austin, how you doing today?
I'm not doing too bad, guys. How's everyone else? And how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain.
Being goofy.
With I like how you instantly dropped the bit the second I didn't acknowledge it. You're just like, all right, I'm just being goofy.
Yeah, I'm just done now.
I'm like, you should have just kept going. I was gonna act like it was calm. No, I did pretty good. You know, went shopping for groceries for the first time in like a couple months since I got the car fixed. Got to enjoy it. I splurged a little bit. Bought some apples. Bought some like chip dip, like things I normally don't get. So I grabbed some of those things. I'm like, I'm going to enjoy this. And other than that, pretty good day. Just been playing games, you know, like normal.
Yeah.
Enjoying it. What about you, man? What about you? How was your weekend?
It was okay.
It was okay? Just okay?
Yeah, it was. Well, it was. You know, there was a couple good things. You know, I only work for like 6 hours on Wednesdays, so it's kind of nice. You know, like getting to come home and just like, you know, I get off at like I go to work at 9. I have to be there at 9, and then I get off at like 3.
Yeah.
And then, you know, after that, I go pick up my dog, and then I just sit around and watch movies, or I wait until my wife gets home. But what was really cool was I got a new air fryer, because I've been wanting an air fryer with like these double doors. Like they open like this, and then you know, you can like put a whole pizza in there, and I was like, that'd be cool. So I found one on Facebook. Some guy was selling that, never been opened. He just was like, I'm not really into how big it is, you know, and it's like a $250 air fryer, you know, and he had it down to like $80, and I was like,
that's not bad at all.
$60 and I'll come get it. And he's like, I got it. And so I showed up yesterday with Mom, and I got the air fryer, and I used it today, and oh my gosh, it's so nice. It's weird though, because like when the smaller air fryers, you know, you don't have to really preheat them because they're so small, you know, so like, you know, you just, you know, put them right in, you know, and then it will do its thing. But with this one, you have to preheat a little bit. But what's really nice about it is like when the preheat happens, you like click it. But this thing also does like oven, roast. It does like pretty much everything an oven does, but it's just faster. It preheats a lot faster. It takes about 2 minutes to preheat at the temperature that you want, which is like 450, I think, the highest it goes. And you can warm up food and stuff like that with it. So I made tonight, my wife was like, hey, I want kielbasa sausage. So I cut up sweet potato, onion, bell peppers, kielbasa sausage and carrots, and we just roasted them on the roasting tray, and it was phenomenal. It was really good. So yeah, did that, and then I played Pal World last night with you guys until our buddy had to like turn off his computer and put the RAM in, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to bed then." I've been catching up on movies I've never watched before that people have recommended me, and the movie I watched today was I don't like. Like a lot of people are like, I think you'll like it, and then I had someone else who was like, yeah, it's a good movie. I remember like watching the trailer for it when I was a kid, and I was like, I'm gonna watch that.
What
And
movie?
it's called Falling Down. It is a Joel Schumacher movie. Do you know who Joel Schumacher is?
Name sounds really familiar, but I don't know.
He did the Batman Forever and Batman and Robin movies.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the guy that directed those. So like his famous movie was called Falling Down. It's with I think it's with Michael Douglas. I think that's the name of the actor.
Okay.
And it's about a guy that like just doesn't want to take it anymore, and he's like he's going through like the ghetto of like California or something trying to get home, and then you come to find out he's actually deranged, and he's been divorced from his wife for like 3 months, and like he just goes nuts, you know. And so like I hated the whole premise of it. I thought it was lame. I was like, okay, I get it, but like, this movie didn't do anything. Like, it felt like there was nothing achieved here. Like, he could have, like, you know, saved himself from like dying at the end of the movie and stuff. Spoiler alert. But I didn't feel like it. The movie felt like to me that it didn't do anything for me. It was just like goofy, and then in the way like it was just a story that didn't go anywhere or prove a point or anything like that. It just was you were trying to give in to like this villain, and I was like, yeah, I don't like it. which side note, I have watched a lot of other movies that I used to watch when I was a kid. You know, we had VHSs, and so like, you know, the trailers would show up before the movie would show, and DVDs did that for a while.
Yeah.
There was a lot of like trailers of movies I was like, oh man, I really want to watch that. One was also Conquest. I think it was 1960, or no, it was 1872. It was at the beginning of Wayne's World. I remember that. And it looked like this weird thing where like this guy was getting off the boat, like a boat, and it looked like all staticky and stuff.
Oh, I do know what you're talking about there. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I was like, okay, I want to know what that's about, and then I found out it's about Christopher Columbus, like coming to the New World, and it was actually a legit, truthful story about Christopher Columbus coming, and a lot of people panned it because they're like, this doesn't make sense. It's not like that, but also too is the movie's not really well done. It was trying to get out there like to people to know what Christopher Columbus did to like those Native Americans and everything, but it just wasn't directed properly or like written properly, so it wasn't a great movie. So I've been like going back watching movies that I haven't watched before, and I was like, I'm gonna watch this, see how it is. Or like movies that people are like, hey, you have to watch this, it's really good. Like tomorrow I'm gonna watch Snowpiercer, which is considered like one of Ko Jung, the guy that directed and wrote Parasite. His first movie is called Snowpiercer.
Oh yeah, that's the one with Chris Evans, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so like I'm gonna watch it because I heard that there's a TV series too, and both of them are really good. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna give it a watch and see how it is. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for that. But yeah, so my rant going on and stuff like that, you know. But yeah, I had a lot of fun, and then over the weekend I came and got to see you.
Yeah.
We did a VR park experience, which I have all those videos if anyone that was part of us wanted to watch it. I'm gonna actually put that in the Ohio thing that we have planned, so we can show people like what the VR looks like and how it feels.
Yeah, how it kind of like goes. It was fun. There were some great things about it. There was some definitely like gun games are probably the go-to, not the medieval stuff. Yeah. I'm sure kids would enjoy regardless. I actually told my manager about it, and she's like, that sounds amazing, I'm going to do it for my kid. And I was like, yeah, no, it's perfect. Your kid has like 5 or like so many friends, like just book a session and just go and enjoy it. Like it's quite solid. It's quite good.
Yeah it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we did that.
Like VTM.
Yeah, we played VTM, which did I tell you what happened? Yeah.
Yeah.
So our chronicle's
Yeah.
ending at the end
Mhm.
of this year, and now everyone's going mad with like, well, if I only have a year left, YOLO baby, we're going to go crazy. And the whole day I've just been talking with people, and they've been telling me like the crazy stuff they want to do. And I'm just like, at this point, I don't really got ST. The players will move the plot. Because like people, like every game is going to be someone coming in and being like, I'm going to murder this person, and then
Yeah.
blood everywhere. Like that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I very much enjoyed having you up. It was fun to play and have you.
Hmm.
Yeah, Austin.
Yeah. Speaking of chaos and like things that just move a story forward completely crazy,
we can talk about many things, Austin. We could talk about, you know, the fact that there's no heroes in VTM. We talk about that all in life. All you have is family on 3. Like,
Mhm.
there's a lot of things you can do. And that's because this week, Austin, we watched Misfits and Mayhem. Misfits and Magic. I always say Misfits
Yeah.
and Mayhem. I don't know why. But
Misfits and Magic, yep.
Misfits and Magic, which is a Dropout original, D20. I picked this, and this was something that like I had to kind of like we talked about because I'm a big fan of Dropout. I like Dropout a lot, and I very much wanted to show shows from Dropout in some way. And so I was trying to find like a show that's like pertinent and like functional for our show to do. And I would love to do like Fantasy High and stuff like that, but they're very long. Like they're intended to be like long sessions of enjoyment. And so I'm like, well, D20 has these one-offs that are kind of short, and I just got done finishing Misfits and Magic, and I enjoyed it greatly. So I was like, well, I want to have Austin watch it because I don't know if he's actually all that big into like D&D stuff like that or listening to D&D stuff.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, I'll throw it out there and force you to watch it. The first thing that I love about this show is how it's obviously meant to be like a riff on Harry Potter.
Yes.
It's taking place in our current day, so everyone in the non-magical folk world knows of Harry Potter, and the wizard world just does not know that there's just this person who just blabbed a bunch of stuff about the magic world but just coded it differently. It's hilarious to me. Boss, I have to first ask, what did you think of Dimensions Twine, Misfits and Magic?
So actually, I have been watching Dropout for a while now, like ever since like you kind of turned me on with that because I started watching Game Changer. Like you showed me a lot of clips of Game Changer on YouTube, and then there's a show that I love that's on Dropout, and I watch it every single time, and that is Make Some Noise. That's my favorite thing ever. It reminds me, and what's great is like they had like Wayne Brady on there at one time.
Yep.
But oh man, I love Sam Reich. I think Sam Reich is a genius, and I think Brandon Lee Mulligan's a genius. Half this cast in Dropout, like in College Humor, is really good.
Honestly, the funny thing is, right, is I feel that Sam Reich, he knows talent whenever he looks at it and
he
sees
does.
it. Like he collects like solid talent. One of the people that come to my mind instantly, right, is Lou Wilson, who is in Misfits and Magic.
Yeah.
That man does not miss in mostly anything he does. I watched him as Fabian in Fantasy High. I watched him in Misfits and Magic. I watched him in what was the other one?
He was in Game Changer. He was in the Survivor episode, which was phenomenal.
Survivor episode.
Yeah.
He the other D20 that I've watched currently that he is, because I am back watching everything because I wasn't really a watcher of D20 until Metropolis. Whenever I watched Metropolis,
Yeah.
he was in Never After playing Pinocchio,
Yes, he was.
and he was my favorite character in that because he makes me laugh so hard. He is so
I forget
good.
the name. I forget the name of the Candyland one.
The War of.
The War of.
It's like I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I forget what
He's in it too. Like he's in it.
Yeah.
He plays I don't want to run it because that,
No,
that's
don't worry.
actually like. But if
I'm going to be
it's my
watching
favorite
it,
one.
like-
It's my favorite one so far. Like I do like Fantasy High, and they just came out with like was it junior year? They
Yep,
did junior
they're
year,
coming out
which
with junior
I
year
have
currently.
not watched. Well, oh, it hasn't came out yet. Okay.
No, it's
'Cause-
coming out. It's like weekly that they're doing it.
Oh, they're due weekly. Okay, so I haven't watched any of it, so I was like, I'll get around to it. I actually was going to start that this week, but then I had to do this, and I was like, oh well, it works out. This is actually one that I've been looking at for a while. I think Sam Riken, like the D20 knows like what is funny for this generation and what improv is and how good it is, and they have great people that like they bounce off of each other. They have good chemistry, and Brendan Lee Mulligan is like one of those stamps. Brendan Lee Mulligan to me is like Batman, where like if Batman's gonna be in a movie, someone's gonna know who he is and just go,
Yeah.
he's here because he works well with everyone that's part of it. And you know, and I've already known half of these people. The only one I didn't know was actually the dungeon master herself.
Oh, you know Abria? Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
she wasn't anything that like stuck out to me. Like the three people was Lou, Brandon Lee Mulligan, and then I always get her name wrong. She played Sparkles. She played Dream.
You're Erika Ishii.
Yeah, Erika Ishii. That's right. Because I don't want to like mispronounce it, but it's Erika Ishii.
No.
Okay.
It's cool. The thing I feel bad about is I always forget the one woman's name, or
the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was in Metropolis, and I loved her in Metropolis. She played she played like the sleuth of the detective agency, and I feel so bad because I'm always like, you learn the characters' names, you don't really learn the player's name all well unless they are consistent. And the only reason why I remember Erika Ishii is because Eric has been in a lot of other things. One of the things she's been in is LA by Night, which is the Vampire the Masquerade like canon story stuff. She plays a Bruja in that, and so I remember her name. Plus, her, Brandon, Lou have all been on Game Changer multiple times, and I have, for there only being like 5 seasons, I have watched about 40 seasons worth of content of that show, just rewatching it. And so those names stick with me. And I would love to see like Abria and the other lady in like those things, because my brain would remember their name more and I would hear it more. But they're both fantastic. Like, I know Abria was in, she was part of the people who went to like Critical Role and did a couple crossover stuff with them. She also has hilarious like moments. She actually reminds me of my friend Gwen, with how she like responds to stuff and how she like laughs at certain times. Like she does the little like I can't really explain it. She does like a snoring laugh occasionally, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. Like when it happens, you're just like, what the heck was that? But it's absolutely like fantastic. And I think this was her first time DMing in Dimension 20. Which, you know, whenever you watch a lot of Dimension 20, like of the episodes I've watched Brandon DM a lot. And so I got kind of used to his DMing style, and I was really surprised in how happy I was with her DMing style in this. She's what I call like a very agreeable DM, where she's like, if this is good or interesting or fun, I'm going to go with it. Brandon's also that way. There are DMs that I have been part of or friends with who are very much, if it's not like as intended or rules written, they will make it harder because they're like, I don't want you to do this, so you won't be doing it. And they are very much, hey, if it's good for the story, let's do it. And I was very happy with everyone's portrayal in this show. I don't actually remember when the show came out. It was before I started subscribing to Dimension, probably before I even like was watching Dropout, because it wasn't until about last year, I want to say, that I even knew about Dropout. I actually think I was at my current job that I started, and I was just looking up Dropout, a Game Changer scenes, because they were showing up on my like For You
Yeah.
page on TikTok and everything. I was like, what is this show? This is hilarious. These guys are funny. And I found out what they have, found out how amazingly cheap and fantastic it is, and I have been subbed since. But okay, Austin. Well, so tell me, Austin. You have played D&D. You have played D&D like games. Their system that they used for this was what do you call it?
Kids on
a
Bicycles?
hybrid version.
I think.
Kids on Bicycles is what it's called, but they
Yeah.
did a hybrid version called Kids on Brooms.
Yeah.
And it's a much different gameplay and game style. So I want to know, Austin, what did you think about the game itself and your personal pretext or personal thoughts on just like tabletop games in general? I don't know what you personally enjoy or not.
Well, see, I love Dungeons and Dragons. I've played D&D since, man, I think it's since 2015. Was my first campaign ever.
Okay.
And I enjoyed it. It went about 6 months, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it, and I started to get into it. But the real villain of Dungeons and Dragons is people. Like
Yeah, scheduling.
Scheduling is always a problem. I think that's the real villain. It's because the thing is life happens, and then people just drop out, or you get a DM that's just not really that great, or they're very stickler and they can't read their player base. Because I remember like some of the best DMs that I've ever like experienced, like the best dungeon masters I've ever had, were people that didn't want to take everything too seriously, but they did take things seriously, certain things. I remember there was this game where I played maybe 3 sessions, and I was like, nope, I'm done.
Yeah. I'm finished. Okay.
It was just like, it's not like that. I've never heard of this variant. I've never heard of how combat works or anything like this. This was very interesting because I talked to you over the weekend that I am planning on doing a certain 2-shot. Like, I'm going to do a 2-shot. And I was like, man, I really want some help with that. And you're like, hey, you should like try this. And after watching this, I was like, man, this is actually will work well for what I want to do. So I'm pretty excited with like, trying to figure all of this combo out. So like I'm actually going to watch more of other play types of bicycle, and like just be like, oh, okay, I'll try this out. I liked it because it kind of lets a story unfold how you want it to. Like it's loose. It's not like doesn't feel rushed. It doesn't feel like there's like this thing that you have to get done, especially like
it's one of those things, because I'll let you finish. The thing that I enjoy about it is that it's simple, because newer people who aren't used to like indie and all that stuff, they get bogged down by all the mechanical stuff. Why in this game it's very much like you have 4 stats, these are what they do, and this is what you roll for it. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
We don't need to go into like higher details. Like they have additional stuff you can do, like abilities and whatnot, but you as a player could like coattail that and make it easier and make it simple. And then in the moment you can choose the difficulty class very openly, and sometimes they can be really hard, sometimes it can be really easy. And the one thing I will say that I like about this type of game, and like Savage World is another one that does this, is the exploding die mechanic. I think that is the best way to get players at the table hype without needing them to do like crazy stuff.
Well, it also sorry for interrupting,
go ahead,
but
go
like
ahead.
no, it also helps new players. If new players are trying to get into Dungeons and Dragons, when they roll, because it's hard. Let's be real, it's hard to roll a d20. Like if you can nat 20 something, it's one of the best feelings that you ever had, especially in something that someone doesn't intend to want you to do, and they're like, roll it. Your difficulty's 16, and you nat 20 it. And it's like, oh man, the DM's mad about it. It feels good, like, especially when like your DM's like being like, a little serious, and you're like, well, like there's so many times where I've played. Starfinder will always be that one that clicks in my head when we played, and literally we killed a boss like instantly because of a D20. And like, it's just watching Explosion. I think it will help new players too. And it also helps people at the table to get hyped, like how you saw in this episode, in this show, they'd be like 8, 8, 8. And they're like, wait, that's close to hate. No, 8, 8. He's like, it sounds the same. what's great about that is like it keeps you in tune with like being more active with the game. It doesn't feel like you're just sitting back and letting people have their conversations. You know?
The other thing that I really like about Kids on Broomstick is the failure mechanic. Like if you fail a rule, it's like that's just it. However, you get a token of some sort that allows you to use to amplify either your role or another person's role. So it really is great for like keeping everyone engaged. Because the one issue I always have with D&D is that whenever it's like combat or something like that, one person's going and everyone else is just kind of waiting for their turn.
Yeah.
But in this, they're like, everyone's paying attention because it's like, how far are you off? I got you, man. Like, I'm going to help you out. Like, it's fantastic. It draws people in, and I really enjoy that.
Well, then I think also, too, is what's great about it is the idea of it being like you were talking about, where it's just like you're waiting for your turn. It's more of like it feels like you're part of a group. Like you're a team, like you want the other person to succeed. But I liked how this DM worded things with how things were happening. There was that incident where the phone, and she failed. And he was like, all right, or no, it was Brandon, Ethan Kelp. Kelp. Kelp.
Yeah.
He had like a phone, and he was like trying to do technology stuff. And he failed, and then Lou was like, I'm gonna give him these tokens.
Diversity
and he's like,
tokens.
I need you to tell me in description how you're going to help him.
Yeah.
Because you're the player that's going to help. I was like, that is a great mechanic. I like that. I was like, it makes you have your players think about stuff and be like, how as a character could I help this person being this way? Instead of like, oh yeah, I just saved them. Like, it's like, no, what did you do with the phone? He's like, I open up the settings. Like, we just fiddle around with the settings, and come to find out we get bars. And I'm like, great. That's a great mechanic. And it drives story. Like, the other thing that I have a problem with D&D is when a dungeon master is just a dungeon master. He doesn't want to have people interact properly. So, like, he comes up with these weird dialogues where it's like, oh, I'm going to have a one-on-one with this person and talk to them. And that's it. And he doesn't move the story forward. So like, it just feels like everyone else is just talking to themselves, and they're not engulfed into the story because they're like, oh, it's just going to be this big campaign. It's like, no, you need to be part of the story to understand how to use these mechanics. And then once you do, it's not over convoluted like Dungeons and Dragons can be, where, it's like, hey, you have to roll your perception. And it's like, okay, did you add this, and this to it? No. Okay, that's it. It's not like it gives you a chance to change the story even when you fail, if you have those perception tokens. And it's just, I like how it's open-ended in a theater of the mind. I love theater of the mind. It's one of my favorite ways to play D&D. I've played tile D&D, and like I've played some other D&D, but like theater of the mind has always been my favorite because I think it's because I'm a reader. Like, I love reading. So I'd rather read a book than watch a TV show most of the time, because I can put my own, like, perception to things. Like, when I read Lord of the Rings, I already watched the movies, so it was kind of like boring a little bit. But when I've read like The Boys, when I read The Boys before, I mean, not The Boys. Wow. I'm trying to think what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to think what book. Oh, it was Stephen King. When I was reading It for the first time, I was like, I've never watched It before. I've read it, so like I had to picture this stuff in my imagination of like what was going on, and some of the stuff I wish I never had to picture in my mind, because it's Stephen King. But the thing is that's what I love about it. I like the imagination that happens, and I love that these people are very chemistry driven together, where they work on each other and they work well with each other. And you have and what's really funny is they're misfits. That's what's great about this. I think Lou's character is amazing. I love Lou's character so much.
Yeah.
Erica's character is phenomenal. And Brandon Lee's Mulligan's character, I knew he was going to be that way. Once he came on screen, he was like, I'm just like walking, and I don't have a cell phone with like the screen anymore. And it's like, oh man, he's playing the sappy homeless kid. And I was like, you know what he's trying to do? He's being Harry Potter. If Harry Potter, that's how Harry Potter should have been, where it was like this sappy kid that didn't fit in because he didn't fit in the story.
I would argue that he wasn't playing Harry Potter, but he was playing like a reluctant Dark Lord. Like 100%. Like it's everyone else in the world. Like all these dark people are like, he's the Dark Lord, he's the Dark Chosen. He's just like, no, I don't want to be.
No.
We can start going into like the story wise or whatnot, because the first thing that kind of got me to like be really drawn into this story is, one, all the kids are Americans.
Yes.
You have the Twitch streamer, which absolutely found hilarious. I love the fact that they mentioned mukbangs, and like both Lou and Brandon's like, what the heck is that? They had no clue about it, which mukbangs are very popular. And I'm like, I'm surprised they didn't know. I just loved how each one interacted with the bird differently. I love the stupid jokes that Lou would do with like the whole like family on 3, team on 6, and like it just made me laugh so much.
I have to give a lot of props to the DM here, because the thing is when I've played with some DMs where they just have everyone at like a prison, and then that's how they meet. They're just a bunch of hooligans, and you're like, okay. I liked how she set up the story where it was like an owl shows up. It's exactly Harry Potter, like how it should be.
Except it's more magical based, which I really enjoyed. Like Harry Potter was like, oh, it just delivers the letter. Oh, you don't accept it, it keeps delivering letters. This how it like comes, and the second you start reading, it starts reading, like the bird itself starts reading from the mouth. I think the
best one out of all of them, the best one out of all of them, in my opinion, is actually the other girls. When she's live streaming,
Danielle,
and the bird hit, it was amazing. I laughed so freaking hard when like the bird like hits the window, and then it's like, oh, you're streaming a bunch of these people.
Gosh, this girl's gonna die.
It's like, oh no, my followers.
That made me laugh, because I'm like, that's 100% what would happen if she was in the middle of a live stream and all of a sudden you hear this big crash and she's like, what the heck, and runs off screen.
She being swatted.
Exactly, that's exactly what would be going on.
I did love Brandon Mulligan's whole thing. I thought that was great.
Brandon's really good at like making character concepts. I just think this is true, especially whenever he's like, I take the owl pellet and I just ingest it, because it's like, you know, he's a bird lover. He knows what the heck an owl pellet is. And so it's like this concept of him just eating this owl pellet. And then just being like, oh, you're not supposed to eat that. Oh,
just a chicken? Just a chicken? No.
A game changer.
And the thing is I really thoroughly enjoyed how the story was set up, and I love the pokes that they made for the Harry Potter. They made
a lot of pokes, but they made like logical pokes that are hilarious. Like whenever the Brandon mentions about the idea of like Putin nuking the world, he's like, oh, you think if Putin decides to just nuke the world, you're gonna have a wizard come out and magic away the nuke? No, they're not going to do it, but they won't care, and then they'll die with everyone. Like, I was like, and then my
favorite one that they brought up, and I was like, I said the same thing, was the golden snitch thing. It was the stupidest thing ever. When I read that book, I was like, so wait, why wouldn't you just have all the golden seekers like on one team, and that's the only thing you guys go for? Well, you got to do all the other ones. Then what's the point system for if you could score all these points, and if someone gets the golden snitch, if they're that good? I was like, this is stupid, and it's like a bajillion gazillion points.
The funny thing is that it's only 150 points, which when you hear, you're like, that's stupid, but then it's like everything is like 10 points. So if the game goes on long enough for one team to get 15 points over the other one, even if the snitch is caught, they're going to win. It's still absolutely stupid. The whole concept of Quidditch is really dumb, and the writer very much made it to make fun of sports. But in the process of trying to make fun of sports, she made something that's worse and stupid. Like everyone makes fun of her for it. The other thing I like that they poke fun at is the thing that was retconned earlier, and it's the idea that they don't have restrooms there and they just magic away, and then they don't just say like that's the stupidest thing ever. I'm not just gonna poop on the ground and magic it away. They go deeper. It's like, what about me wiping? Like you're just saying I'm walking around with crusty poop in my butt, or do I get to magic that away around? Where does it go? Does it go into like some places, or is it just magically appears on someone's like table somewhere? Like,
And she was like,
it's like,
where does it go?
I don't know. Like stop
wherever
asking
you
me.
want.
Like I laughed so hard at that because that's the thing I really enjoyed, because one, J.K. Rowling is a piece of trash. She's like very like transphobic and like all that stuff. And so it was nice to have a show that was very heavily influenced by people who used to be big fans of the series, until like all the stuff came out, and then now they're just like, we like it. That's why we're able to sit here and talk about it, but we're going to poke fun at the issues and the problems and fix certain things.
You know, that's just how that is. Like, you know, the thing is you grow up with it. It is a story for children. It is a teen story. It's just like Twilight. It's like The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. But when you look back at those people, you're like, those people are not good people at all.
Yeah.
You know,
how my one friend described it's like they were having a conversation about the concept of HP Lovecraft versus JK Tolkien.
mm-hmm.
And they're like, look, HP Lovecraft was a real piece of trash. He was a tool. He was a horrible person.
Yes.
But why is it okay to read his works versus reading JK Rowling, like supporting her? And it's like, because he doesn't benefit from any of his works anymore. He's dead. He's long gone. His estate doesn't get much. And so it's like he's not benefiting. J.K. Rowling actively has said she's taking the funds she makes from it to like further political agendas, and it's like that's much different. And it's just one of those things that I'm like, I very much enjoyed the fact that I could watch this and have that kind of like childhood nostalgia, and all the things they poke fun at, I can sit there and laugh at and be like, yeah, that is stupid.
Yeah.
And then they add more fun and interesting moments. Like the whole like,
oh yeah, I agree.
Oh my gosh, the whole idea of like the game that they played, like their like little sports game that they played.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, this is a simplistic game that is just very straightforward, easy to do, fun, fantastic.
mm-hmm.
Even though it ends, I love the fact that it's like game's being called, we don't know where the two other player is, the game's just being called. It's like, oh, well, you guys lose because you were losing whenever the game's called. It's like, that's stupid. Who the heck makes that decision? The headmistress. Oh yeah, the extremely like one-sided person.
Yeah.
The other fact I love too is this concept.
Well, they also failed a roll for it though.
They did, but it's this concept that they called the game because two kids disappeared. And they're like, the whole game's null and void because the kids aren't here, and we'll just end it where we're at. There's no such thing as like pausing the game to find out where the kids went, or like rehashing the game later. It's just it's like the equivalent of watching like a football game, and then midway through one of the players disappeared, and they're just like, call the game, who's winning right now? That team, they win. The other team would be furious.
Oh no, and there was an incident that happened like that last year with the Bengals and the Buffalo Bills with DeMar Hamlin. You know, but they rescheduled that game. They were like, hey, we're going to reschedule it.
They didn't reschedule this one. They just said, hey, they win.
Like, whatever. This team wins. It just happens.
I love whenever they was
like a tie, but this team wins.
I love it when Danielle is talking to the head mistress. She's like, yeah, so like we were beating, we were going to like we were beating them. It's like, you guys were losing. Yeah, well, they knew we were going to beat them. Oh man, so I also loved Lou kept saying like, we'll buy that too, and if it comes back, we'll buy it again.
One of the things that I love that they changed that I liked, an interesting concept, was that one of them actually came up with that idea, and that is if you decide to become a muggle, like
non-magic
give up one.
An MV.
Stop. Yeah, an MV. I forgot about that. Yeah. But they make reference to that in there. So if you become a non-magical person, your memory gets wiped.
Yeah.
I like that concept. That makes more sense than was like, well, what if like you just stop doing magic? You're just gonna tell people, oh, I'm, you know, you're gonna tell those
I'm
outside
just a normal
people.
human being, Jackie Daytona.
Yeah. Jackie Daytona, normal human being. Yeah, no, so like you know, the thing is I was very interested in like some of the things that they did bring up because it's an adult that is taking a teenage or a child's fiction novel and making sense to it. Because the thing is I remember how big Harry Potter was and like how huge, and it's still huge today. You know, like
Oh,
Universal
yeah.
Studios.
You have the Harry Potter adults that are on the
Mhm.
same length as Disney adults. No offense to your wife, but like they're like over there
I'm
covered
one.
in the clothing. They're like, I'm House Slytherin. I'm this,
Yeah.
and this. Oh, side note, I really loved when Brandon deconstructed
Oh yeah.
the class. He's like, wait, so you just have the evil class? Like it's just the house of evil. Like they
Yep.
only try to hide ambition. What could be more evil than that? And then you have the goody two shoes. I also love the fact that Goat House is like it's an equivalent of Hufflepuff, and it's like, yeah, mostly everyone goes to Hufflepuff because like they're NPCs essentially. And I love that. And I love the fact that they're all just like, we're only here because like we're not good enough to be in the other houses. And they're like, screw that. They're stupid. You guys are great. Like,
Well, what was
work
it? The
on
one that they were talking about, how like you could fail out of it. I was like,
which
are you
was a
kidding
joke
me?
of Ravenclaw being
Yeah,
like the super
yeah.
smart one. Which
Yeah.
fundamentally, from the Harry Potter series, it makes sense, right?
Yes.
In order to, because that's the big issue that a lot of people have with like the Harry Potter series, because it's like Gryffindor, you have to be courageous, and it's like, well, courageous people can become cowards. What happened to them if that happens? And then it's like Slytherin, you have to be ambition can die. What happens to someone after that? Like, oh, Ravenclaw is smart. It's like people can become like stigmatized to like education. Then what happens to that? It's like Hufflepuff are just, you know, they're good friends. And it's just like that's the, like, everyone can be in that class. I don't understand why that's a thing. And so when they make the joke that like 80% of the population of the school is in this school in that house, I laugh because I'm like, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Despite what anyone wants, I doubt you have the ambition for such.
Oh no.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Side note, I do have to give props to Abria for DMing. The fact that the whole first episode was a shopping episode and
Yeah.
it kept me so engaged easily. D&D can't do that, you know? Like
Yeah.
not it takes a good DM to be able to like do a shopping episode. And
Oh yeah.
I have watched Critical Role, and I remember the season 2 episode I stopped listening on was a shopping episode that I felt like they took way too long, and I just never went back to it because it was 4 hours, and I was like, I can't finish it. I don't want to, and then I got sidetracked by other things.
I'm with you. You know, and I think this is a great thing. I think this is a really good play type for people that are trying to get into D&D that you know just can't get the grasp of it. But also too is I think that it keeps them I think why it would be so good for a new person to do this is because it gets you to engage in the story better. Like it gets you to get used to how storytelling works. It's not just a DM. Like I think the best DMs isn't just a DM that sits back and then tells you what's going on. It's more of like you creating your own story, but also being part of a team to create that story. And I like that. That's what I love about it. And I think it's great that they do this. And I'm actually excited because I found out that there's 2 specials for this, and I'm gonna watch those this week when I have downtime at work. I was like, you know what? Like today, I just put my headphones on while the other people played their games, and I just listened to the last 2 episodes. I was like, you know what? I got 4 hours to waste. Here we go. You know. So I will say this: if someone is interested in listening, I know sometimes it is hard because it's a bunch of people sitting together at a table and they're talking, they're going through story, and you have to think about it in your mind. And they do have like some pictures they do make for the campaign. Like from time to time, they'll show a picture, but you have to like think about this stuff. And what I like is the imaginary. It's kind of like reading a book, in my opinion, where like you know you have to have that imagination to have that. And their story arcs, some of these people's story arcs were really well done. Brandon Lee Mulligan's whole like shadow people possessing him was phenomenal.
The
And
fact that they
I
bullied them
love-
out of him was the best
They
part.
just, yeah, like Erica literally just bullied them out. Like
Well,
when
no.
she touched them.
Daniela did. She's
Oh.
the one who bullied.
Oh, yeah.
Erica's the one who touched and dispelled, and then Lou was
Yeah.
like pulling him out.
Yeah.
I love the idea that it's just like she yelled at the one dude, the other guy comes out, it's just like, oh, where'd the other guy go? Like, what the heck? And she's like, yeah, well, you know, you can't control our friend. It's like, well, he agreed to this. It's like, he's a minor, so this contract's null and void. And then Brandon's just like, he runs away.
Yeah.
Like, it's just,
No.
it makes me laugh. Like, it's one thing when you have a DM kind of doing stuff that's enjoyable and whatnot. I think it's something powerful when you have another DM like Brandon who's also in play
Yeah.
that like is able to make fun and interesting moments even better. That being that scene whenever he like washes the kid to the ocean, or whenever they're in the final conflict and he banishes the one kid to hell for a couple minutes and then sends him back, and it's just like, no one's ever gonna believe you. He just snaps his wand and walks off.
Yeah.
Like those are scenes that are hilarious. Also the scene with Brandon, and this was the thing that made me watch this. It was Brandon, whenever he's getting ready for a fight, he's like, oh good, you speak English, good. The next 15 minutes is going to be very important for you. And he proceeds to tell this kid, he's like, I just need to know if you do not quit, like if you not let go, what do you want me to tell your parents when you're dead, when you're gone? I'm like, what a power play, man. That if that was D&D and someone said that to me and they're like, I won't roll intimidation, I'm like, roll it with like 3 times advantage on that. That was beautiful. you should. He's leaving. He doesn't believe in like dying for some game.
And I think the endings were great. I liked the concept of like, you know, I laughed so hard when Lou, and then we're talking about exchanging currency, and he's like, well, if you want to be rich and McRibs, and then he's like, McRib Deluxe. You know, he's like, no, we only take coin here. I was like, I died.
The little like joke about McRibs was very funny, especially when it's like, if you leave here, you won't get endless McRib. It's like, and we're friends, man. We'll never like let go. And sure, one day someone's going to eat the last McRib without asking first. And then it just cuts to Luke. He's like, God forbid.
I love Lou. I think Lou did
hilarious.
really well. He was like, I loved his character. I thought all these characters were really well done. I think the chemistry worked together, and I'm excited to see the Christmas special that they put out. And I didn't see what the other special was. I think it was a live. It was a live.
There was
one.
the Comic-Con one, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm pretty excited to see how that is. But I will say that I thoroughly enjoyed this. Anyone that's into Dungeons and Dragons would love this.
It's just good storytelling.
It is.
Because of how well they do it. And this is the thing, like you mentioned, like, oh, it's 4 friends sitting around a table.
Mm-hmm.
It's edited so smoothly that everything feels very well like put together, and you don't ever feel like, they're just sitting around the table talking, blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's like some downtime or something. Like when you shop in when you shop in Dungeons and Dragons, where it just feels like it's just, I don't. And that's the problem I have with watching Critical Role is Critical Role doesn't edit as much, and they kind of just let it go like a live stream, and I'm okay with that. But the thing is it's, I have to, like, you know, some parts have to have focus, and this didn't really feel like you need to focus too much, but I was engulfed with the story that I wanted to see what happened. And I think also Brandon Lee Mulligan being like this weird shadow creature, I think really, and I think also too is they're all comedians. They are really well at keeping comedy going and like being funny, and they play off each other really well. And what's great is they take like real life scenarios and make them goofy, where they're just like, you know, like when the bird comes in, when Lou first sees the bird, you know, he's like, look at the bird, you know,
It's like,
that's
"Everyone look
exactly
at
what
the
I would
bird."
say.
And I love that Bria's just like, for some reason, your whole team just listens to you. Like, you are their captain. They, it's like, yo, look at this bird. It's like, why'd you bring a bird in here? Like, what are you doing here, dude? And it's just like, okay, everyone, let's get together. Team on 3. 1, 2, 3, team. Okay, you were kind of off there. It's like, I was just very happy about being part of something. Like, it makes it's amazing storyteller telling both through the DM and the players really good. The one thing I will say, like, Erika Ishii's character, Dream, going from like a super goth, and you realize why she's super goth, because she's hiding like the deep side of her, of like this like fairy princess essentially. And that's hilarious to me, especially how she like uses it, and how whenever she starts using magic, and she gets really upset when her wand's pink, and she's just like, must be wrong. This can't be mine. Like,
what are you talking about? Yeah. No.
I loved it.
I did too.
Yeah. There's so many great scenes. There's a lot of great moments where I'm like, I would love to have that like stitched in like a TikTok or whatnot to send to people, because it's solid. And that's to be said about like almost all of D20's content. Like, I watched Metropolis, love Metropolis. Hank Green is in that one, very well done. Hank played a hilarious character in that. I watched Never After. That whole series is fantastic. A lot longer than this, but it was super enjoyable, so I didn't really notice it. We picked this one, and I specifically picked this one because of how short it is. It's only, I think, 4 or 5 episodes for the series itself. And that right there is super digestible. Most people, whenever like it's like, you should watch this D&D thing, they see like, oh, it's 4 hour long for 10 episodes. That's just a lot. And I agree, it's a lot, unless you're like super into that and invested. So whenever I wanted to pitch this, I knew I had to select one that's small. And because this is so small, I'm like, this fits. This can work in our show. Like, someone can watch this whole series in a week and have no issue. And I enjoyed it. I liked it, and I'm glad I had you watch it, and I'm glad you liked it too, Austin.
Yep. I had a lot of fun.
Austin, that basically sums up our episode of Dimension Traveling, Misfits, and Magic. Next week, we're going to be watching something that I've been really excited for. It started releasing, and I watched one episode and went, yep, we're watching this on Broden Show. I don't care what Austin says. Even though I'm sure our mom will be like pearl clutching through most of the show. But we're going to be watching Has Been Hotel. I'm a fan of Hell of a Boss, which is the YouTube channel, and I'm surprised Hell of a Boss hasn't been picked up, but they may be not picking it up just to keep it a YouTube series, possibly.
Well, yeah, probably. That makes sense.
This show had a pilot on YouTube, got really popular, got picked up by Prime, and it's here. And I'll be honest, whenever I started looking into this, I didn't realize that Has Been Hotel was like a musical like it is. I thought it had like one song every like 2 episodes or so, but it's like every episode has like 1 or 2 songs. And I'm super excited because I've been hearing them on TikTok, and I have to like scroll past because I'm like, I don't want spoilers. I want to figure it out on my own. I want to enjoy it. And I know I'm going to be banging to some of these because I got a snippet of a song called Poison in my TikTok, and I'm automatically like, that song's in my head. I can't get it out of my head. I haven't even watched it, but I'm very excited to watch it.
Okay.
So I'm excited. Austin, you go off.
Yeah.
You ready for this? Put your hands in. Put the hands in. Right. Put your hands in. Right. Okay. Bro on 3. Show on 6. 1, 2, 3. Bro. 4, 5, 6. Show. I just really want to do. All right, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Until next time. See you guys next time or whatever. Bye.